Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a really beautiful morning. Feels like it might be a pretty warm day today, but we'll find out about that a bit later. Marlene and I were just talking right before we got started about some of the latest COVID-19 figures, and we're breaking some of that down because the results from the past few days, probably since late last week, have been somewhat encouraging because our positivity rate is dipping a little bit, and there have also been proportionally a greater amount of recoveries than there have been new cases over the past few days. So that's something that is somewhat encouraging.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I think one of the things that we have been talking about is looking at the end of this month where we're going to be, especially knowing that there is a change in curfew that is hinged upon that positivity rate, which you see to the top right of the screen there. Yesterday, based on yesterday's daily report, it was at 11%. And that's the number of positives that you get out of the total number of tests. And as you noted there, while there were 436 confirmed cases over the course of the weekend, there were 485 recovered. So more persons have been able to be declared recovered than new cases. We did, of course, have 3 new deaths, which is unfortunate as we continue to see that death toll climb. And you know, I'm hoping we don't see as many as 500, but it is getting closer.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, any death is extremely unfortunate, and it's very concerning to see loss of life anywhere, especially if it's preventable, to the extent that it is. But, you know, I think that I'm hoping that we're gonna get, you know, that we're gonna see, like, maybe we've passed our little peak for the wave that we've been going through over for the past few months. And it's interesting that if you follow international news in relation to some of the latest developments, they're recommending, for two, what might seem like opposite ends of the spectrum, but still 2 very vulnerable groups, both for children and for older persons. On the one hand, we're seeing it being recommended more and more that old persons, especially over 60, get booster shots. That's becoming more the norm in several other countries. And there's also a push on the other end to approve vaccinations for children as young as 5 years old. Specifically, I believe that's the Pfizer one that they're is saying, and in the United States, we've been seeing that they've been pushing for the FDA to recommend younger eligibility for vaccines.
They've completed the testing for it as well, so that's helpful. I mean, I think especially given the call for children to go back to school, that is going to be a real pivotal moment to have children younger than 12 vaccinated, because we know that for those over 12, that kind of takes care of secondary school, protects them there. But for the younger ones, they would need to wait until they're 12 or until Belize moves to the phase where we allow for the younger children to be vaccinated. But I think the booster shot is something that has been, the question has been posed quite a few times to government officials, from the Minister of Health to the Prime Minister. They've said they're looking at it. The science is now clear, and the advice from top international health organizations and individual international countries, they are also advising for booster shots for elderly and for the highly vulnerable. So I wonder I imagine when we'll move to that phase. We do have sufficient vaccines for the country, So some would argue that we do have sufficient vaccines for our highly vulnerable populations.
Yes, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And every time we talk about that, or when I hear that somebody say, that we do have enough vaccines, it still gives me a little bit of pause, just because it's something that I think that we have to be very, very appreciative of,
Yeah.
especially at the time that we were able to get enough vaccines for the entire population. We still know that, especially in some other developing countries, vaccine access is a huge, huge issue. And even here locally, we're still working with ways to get to increase access, particularly to some of the more remote communities. But just that we have the amount is something to be extremely grateful for, and that people do have free access to it. So it's something that I think is very it's something just to be grateful for, right? And it's something to commend the government for, I think. But we can't lose sight of the main goal, and that will require all of us to continue to adhere to all protocols and
as they start talking about Delta Plus, I literally turn off that news at this point in time. It's just too much. Every time we feel like we're reaching a point where things look like they're headed in the right direction, here comes another variant. So we've been paying keen attention to the treatment that has been approved, and that's also really important. So for persons who do contract COVID, that they would have something to help their bodies fight this disease, because it is so unpredictable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And going back to the conversation about booster shots, if we look at the statistics that are being released by the Ministry of Health, you still see proportionally that, at least in terms of death and hospitalizations, the most vulnerable group is still those older persons. And it's been like that since the beginning of the pandemic. And they've been identified as the most vulnerable group from the very early on, people who are older, and not only because they're older, but because tend to have a higher incidence of comorbidities and chronic conditions such as, diabetes and hypertension, a lot of whatever other underlying conditions they might have. Which is why the research and the push into the boosters has been so there's been such an intense effort because they've already identified this vulnerable population, and and they've been trying to make sure that they're as protected as possible. Jury's still out on younger persons. But we'll see. I'm not opposed to getting a booster if they recommend it.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It is recommended. So I really do hope that there's some consideration given to vulnerable groups to be able to get that booster shot. It is clear. And as we've heard the Ministry of Health break down the data where it comes to vaccinated persons being hospitalized or losing their lives, they've been very clear in saying it's the persons who have other illnesses and those who fall within the vulnerable categories, elderly, other illnesses, or obesity, which technically counts as a chronic condition as well. So that's definitely something that we will keep on asking whether or not it's coming, when it's coming, and we do hope that those who have been fully vaccinated and fall within those vulnerable groups, when that time comes, goes ahead and give themselves that extra layer of protection. As we talk about COVID, though, I do want to make note and acknowledge that a very good friend of us here at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5, Dr. Cecilia Eck, well-known pediatrician, head of the pediatrics unit at KHMH, is in fact hospitalized with COVID-19. And he has been in the hospital for a few days, and we are, of course, extending to his family, his loved ones, and to the many, many, many children that he's worked with over the years, who are all very concerned about his progress. We are wishing him the very best so that he can recover. We know that another vulnerable group is also, or a high-risk group, I should say, is our frontline workers. And that has more to do with the level of exposure that they have to the virus itself. There's always, we don't talk about it very much, but there's this whole thing about the viral load, the amount of virus that you're around and can be exposed to. And as frontline workers, from more nurses to all the healthcare facility workers and or doctors, they're all very exposed to this virus. And so When we hear of our frontline workers being affected, as many nurses and doctors have in the past, we definitely do have great concern for them. And so for Dr. Eck especially, you know, just hoping that he'll pull through this and wishing him the absolute best.
Yeah, we absolutely do want to wish him and his family the best during this time.
Yeah.
And you know, you're exactly right to say about the level of exposure and the risk. And I think another thing that I also think about whenever I hear of a healthcare worker, you know, contracting COVID-19 is that I also think that you would, you know, automatically think that they're the ones who, you know, they have the highest level of exposure, meaning they have the highest level of risk. But you know, that also means that they put a lot into actually adhering to the protocols.
Yeah,
a lot of these medical protocols have been existing long before the pandemic, especially the things about washing hands and wearing masks. So that's nothing new to that environment. And you'll notice that, you know, we've both on Open Your Eyes and our regular newscast, we've shown footage of what the inside of the COVID-19 ward looks like. We've seen first of all, just the physical separation of how the unit is set up to try and reduce contact. Of course, the PPEs, which aren't changed for hours at a time. And then there's protocols for getting in, getting out.
Yeah.
And even with all of that happening, you know, there's still the risk, and they do have breakthrough infections, you know, notwithstanding vaccination status even. So it shows the level of care that we have to give.
Yeah.
If knowing that even in that sort of environment, you can still contract COVID. But it also, you know, makes us think that, you know, the fight isn't finished, and that we really do have to be as stringent as possible when it comes to, you know, adhering to them for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and I think that's taking into account what they do at work.
Yep.
You know, let me tell you, having frontline workers in my family, the level of care that you have to exhibit when you go home. When you talk to other medical professionals, they're wearing masks inside of their houses because they don't want to pass on anything if they do get it to family members. So, you know, they make they make a conscious effort within their workplace, but then they also go home with the fear of, will I pass something on to my family members, which is a fear that they have to carry because they know their level of exposure. So there's so many different facets of managing this pandemic that has been affecting daily lives.
No, absolutely.
And we do have to consider that. I think, you know, when Marion shared her story, the story that ran in the news, that was one of the things that she talked about, kind of just having that consideration. You know, we may be younger, maybe a bit healthier, and think to ourselves, oh, it's fine if I break protocol. It's fine if I, you know, get COVID, I'll probably recover. But you don't know who you will come in contact with that can potentially pass it on to others, where they can end up in a situation where they'll be fighting for their lives.
For sure. And, you know, I think that one of the things, you know, that you've talked about, you know, frontline workers in your family, and I remember, you know, reading just very recently something that on social media, one of my Facebook friends who's a doctor in the UK, but just basically he was talking about how, I think it was like last week was the first time he saw his parents in 2 years, even though they both live in London. Just because he has been trying to, he takes the protocols and the safety so seriously, and he knows his level of risk. He's a doctor and he sees COVID patients all the time. And he says even when he's in his clinic and he's not actually active, he knows that if he sees people, he has the risk just from interacting with the public.
Yeah.
And so he was finally able to, and he actually quarantined and isolated.
Yeah.
And you know, he was able to see his parents and they spent the weekend together. But I mean, just think about that, living in the same city.
Yeah. We've talked to nurses here who, I mean, it's the next step is just showering outside. They get home and there's all this protocol to decontaminate themselves. So it's really concerning. You know, and that's why yesterday when we had in the news that there's been an agreement made with the churches that they will in fact not be monitoring vaccination cards as they go in. You know, I'm a bit torn about it because we understand how COVID-19 spreads. You know, if you imagine the amount of singing and all this stuff that happens, yes, they'll be wearing masks, but with the transmissibility of Delta, we've seen where even people who are very vigilant with their mask still get COVID-19, like healthcare workers,
Yep.
for example. And so I'm really concerned about, one, I think when you start making exceptions, there are other people who come forward with a valid point and say, well, us too. And secondly, I think the responsibility of checking vaccination cards is to protect those who have been trying to protect themselves for a while. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. Will people choose to go to church institutions if they're not checking vaccination status and you're singing and praising and engaging in that level, or will it be something that people are comfortable with?
Yeah, exactly, and I think that is a big question, and it's, I think that it's hard to strike that balance whenever you think, and I think especially when you're in the position of authority, whether it be the government or whether you are a church leader or a leader of maybe an educational institution, and you want to decide what to do. Or what's the best choice, at least when it comes to that position of authority. It should be based on all the available factors, first and foremost the medical and scientific information, and then the other concerns will be secondary to that. And with that said, it just makes me wonder, what is the decision-making process behind, whether it's a business, whether it's a church, and you say, well, I'm not going to require this, or I'm not going to insist that, I want to have a crowd of people, but I'm not going to insist on vaccinations or even tests, a negative result, especially knowing where we are now. So, and I would say that if that decision is made based on, valid medical science, then of course, it follows that that the end result should be something good. But if it's something based on a personal feeling or an opinion or something wrong, or some misleading or misinformation, then of course.
And I get the church's perspective. You don't want to turn anyone away from church,
right.
Especially if they feel that they need spiritual guidance. It's just, is this the right time to be pushing for that? And I want to say clearly, too, that it's not all churches, because there are some churches that have chosen to not go back to face-to-faces yet until things calm down. They've maintained virtual services to ensure the safety of the people who follow them. So I think that it still is something. I haven't really discussed it with anyone or heard the reaction as yet, but it is something that I saw last night, and I was like, is this really the best decision for us in the point where we are with the pandemic?
Yeah, I know. I think I had the same thought. That was my reaction as well. But we'll see. I mean, like we spoke about in the beginning of the show, our numbers are slightly dipping for the first time in a few weeks. So hopefully that trend will continue. And if it does, and the numbers of vaccinations keep rising, then we will be on track to open up a little bit more. And then therefore, these situations won't be as, what's the word I want to use, tense, or there won't be as much question marks.
Yeah. All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today. So we're going to divert from that and get into some motivation to get you started. And that means it's time for our eye opener. And our eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Pain can serve as one of life's great teachers, but it's vital to move through it and not become stuck. Pain comes and it goes. It's just one component to the grand cycle of life. And when experienced as such, pain can serve as an important teacher. It is when we get stuck in our pain that it becomes detrimental to our well-being and development. If you notice that you feel closed off, resentful, heavy-hearted, or that you try very hard to avoid being hurt again, there may be a part of you that is still stuck in pain. We can get stuck in our pain for many reasons. As children, it is natural for us to cry, throw a tantrum, and let the experience move through us. By fully feeling our pain in this way, our emotions would wash us clean, leaving us open and available to new experiences. With age, though, we might have determined that expressing emotion was no longer appropriate, and so we developed a variety of coping strategies to deal with our discomfort. Whether your pain is from childhood or from an experience last week, see if you can give it room to move. When it does, you will reconnect with a wonderful source of your own vital energy.
You know, that's a pretty powerful eye-opener. And I think that the number one thing, I guess, that pain teaches us is experience. So you grow from it. And I think that, you know, you hear a phrase, something like, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, stuff like that. And that can be true in several senses, in the way that, one, if it's something, if the pain is as a result of perhaps, let's say, a choice that you've made, you know not to do it again, you know what to avoid just based on that hurt and or whatever that you felt in the past. But you can also think about it as, you know, something that you've been through before, so that you know how to handle and that you learn how to cope in difficult situations. And so from that, you know, you really do grow from the painful experiences and the learning that you've had to go through in the past. And I think that at the end of the day, it does make you more powerful if it is that you do put it into practice. And then you also use it to help others. You know, you can also help people avoid the same mistakes that you've made. And, you know, it's the question. And so the thing is that you can't, you know, you internalize it, you deal with it, but ultimately you have to move on and grow. And, you know, after you've made peace with that pain and you use it as sort of a source, then, you know, ultimately that's what makes you grow.
That's right. And I do think that, Well, you summed that up perfectly. So let me get moving into our weather update for today. And we have Derek Redon on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, Derek, so tell us what our weather is going to be like for today.
Okay, we can expect mainly fair and warm weather today and tomorrow.
Nice. You say that with gusto. Happy to deliver good news. All right, and what about our winds?
Okay, winds are going to be from the east to southeast at 5 to 15 knots, and seas will be light chop.
All right, and our temperatures?
Okay, highs today, it will be warm today with temperatures around 88 along the coast, 94 inland, and 84 up in the mountains.
And for tonight?
Okay, tonight we're expecting 81 along the coast, 74 inland, and 68 up in the mountains.
All right. And for the next few days, what are we looking at?
Okay, for Wednesday, we're expecting mainly fair again, maybe a little warmer, and Thursday, fair in the morning, and well, most of the day fair, and then a few showers and thunderstorms develop inland Thursday evening, late Thursday afternoon, evening, and then spread to most areas Thursday night.
Okay, so we have been warned. We got to make use of the sun for today and tomorrow.
That's right, today and tomorrow.
All right. And keeping an eye out in the tropics, is there anything we need to be monitoring?
Okay, there's nothing in our area. There's one system over the Atlantic, east of the United States, and it may become a tropical or subtropical cyclone, but it's not in our area at all, so we don't have anything to monitor at the moment.
All right. Well, that's good news as well. Thank you so much for that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
Okay, same to you. Bye-bye.
So a bit of a break after last week.
Yeah, sunny skies ahead. All right, so we got to get moving into our show. We have a lot to discuss, and we're starting off with.
We are going to be talking all about the proposed new ability of villages or the smallest municipalities to charge trade licensing fees. So we're going to be getting a perspective from chairpersons of different villages, and we're going to get a reaction to this new proposed change in the law.
All right. And the second part of the show, I know last week it was in the news that we have a Belizean doctor who is practicing in Trinidad, and he performed the first robot-assisted laparoscopy surgery. Great accomplishment. We love highlighting our Belizeans who are excelling. So we're going to be having a conversation with Dr. Kawich about what this means for him and also this development in medicine.
And finally, it is spooky season, so we are going to be talking about some sweet treats because you can't have Halloween without candy. And
Hi.
we're going to be getting an update from Sweet Indulgence, and they're going to showcase how you can DIY some of your own chocolate Halloween treats. That's going to be our third and final conversation.
Sold. I hope there's chocolate involved. That's all I care about. And we close off, of course, Gavin, you're going to be telling us what's trending right now. I can think of a few things, but I'm going to see what you have in store for us at the end of the show.
Yep, sure, that's going to be it. And so with that said, we are going to be taking a very short break. And when we come back, we're going to be getting a perspective from some village chairpersons. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV. Entertainment anytime, anywhere.
Yashik Conservation Trust works with communities to promote sustainable agricultural practices through agroforestry, beekeeping, ingali cropping, and fire management. These sustainable farming practices are providing wholesome food, ecological services, and other income-generating opportunities. Yashche is empowering communities by working together to protect our natural resources for the many generations to come.
We're back. And we're moving into our first conversation for this morning as we dive deeper into the new policy of having trade license fees charged within smaller municipalities like villages. It's a very interesting development, and we decided to get some feedback from 3 village leaders to find out what they think and what they have to weigh into this move. We have with us the chair lady of Keycocker Village, Selene Villanueva Pot. We have the chairman of Ladyville Village, Bernardo Bennett, and we have the chairman of Same Bite Village, Jose Aleman. Good morning.
Good morning, Maria and David.
All right, we got South Islands and right here on mainland, just a stone's throw away from Belize City. How are you all doing?
Good, thank you. And
Good,
yourself? How are you guys?
Good.
Now, of course, we're talking this morning about the announcement that was recently made that small municipalities, which are villages, are going to be able to charge trade licensing fees within their municipalities, and of course that caused a lot of talk, both within the media and on social media. And now, you as leaders and authority figures within the village, I'm wondering what was your initial reaction when you heard the announcement? And just if we'll just get feedback from everyone. So perhaps we can start with you, Selene. What was your first reaction when you heard?
Morning, everybody. Morning, fellow chairpersons. For us here in Keycocker, it's a little bit exciting because, like most villages, we only get $4,000 subvention monthly, and that's not even enough to cover our weekly payroll for our staff. There's a lot that is expected from local government. With all the rains, one of the things that we have to do right now is street repair. And per annum, street repair costs about $150K. Of course, there's the flip side to that. There's the con, and a lot of people are wondering what prices we're looking at for trade license. A lot of people are saying, we're just out of pandemic. The tourist season haven't really kick-started yet. This is an additional expense. Again, so there's the flip side. So we have to be really careful as to what we sit down, and when these boards are set up, we have to be very considerate. But I believe it can work if we all sit down and we discuss it before it's implemented.
Yeah.
And Bernardo, what was your thought?
Good morning once again. I'd like to say good morning to the residents of Ladyville and good morning, Belize. I was very happy to hear this announcement that came out of Cabinet, because I kind of thought to echo the same sentiment of Chairlady Ms. Selene from Keycocker. Just this morning, I got a message like 6 o'clock asking me to please go and see if I can assist to clear a couple drains and see what I can do for at least a number of streets that are left in bad condition after a few days of rains, no? So I believe that this proposed trade license amendment is good because, one, it will definitely bring much needed revenues to village councils, especially large developing villages like Ladyville, of course, Keycocker and St. Bite itself, no? So I believe this will definitely be able, once everything is worked out legislative-wise, as long as we decide on the mechanism and method of how this will be implemented. I believe that these villages will benefit a lot, and the villages will be satisfied with the work of the village councils. Not of these municipalities, not small municipalities.
Yeah.
And Jose, finally you.
Yes, as it relates to our duties as village council members, those duties, I must say, are very huge and broad as your community tend to develop and more people, your population increase. The work in itself,
the only revenue I would assume all other communities receive would be that of liquor license. So when they made mention of the trade license coming in, this was all excitement per se. However, as my colleagues had mentioned, it would perhaps has to do with the mechanisms that are put in place and the methods that will be used as to how these revenues will be collected and who basically will these revenues be collected from. Because if you look on the other side, like for instance, I saw a picture from a media house whereby they had a very dilapidated shop, putting it in the air out there as if these are the people that are going to be affected. On our end here, I would not think that would be the case. I think the focus would be primarily on resorts, large restaurants, and all these highfalutin businesses that are along the peninsula and along within different communities in itself that can generate the revenues that will be able to make payments, that will be able to for the development of the different municipalities.
Yeah.
And my brother, I am all excited about this trade license here.
Yeah.
But you know that, and that brings up a very important point and very interesting one, I think, is that within the different small municipalities, the needs are going to be very different from, village to village. We have, just this morning, Ladyville is a huge village. Some people even say it could be a town by now. Keycocker and St. Bite also have different needs based because of the tourism aspect, which contributes heavily to their economy. And I'm wondering, so perhaps, Bernardo, we can talk in terms of Ladyville, given that the municipality is so big. What do you think about how the implementation of a new policy like this will be? Will there be, is the council prepared to take on the additional work of all the accounting and, of course, the transparency measures that will be necessary?
Of course, yeah. Of course, Mr. Gavin and Ms. Marlene, I am very excited as well, and I feel like with the implementation of this new revenue stream, we will have to develop our capacity. Of course, I'm already thinking about probably have to have a full-time office open in the community to facilitate this trade license, collecting of the trade license fees. Well, I know right now, I'm thinking, and I'm not sure yet, but the way how the liquor license revenues are being collected is that each establishment go to pay at the Treasury Department upon approval of your license, and then the village council will then request it from through the Ministry of Local Government by way of signing certificates with the receipts number on it, and then that money will then be transferred from the Treasury Department to your village bank account. The Ministry of Local Government has and requests and demand a monthly financial statement from each village council monthly, and that will be submitted to your rural development officer, and he will there check every detail, make sure that you have your receipts, your checkbook, and everything add up, and he will approve your statement, and that will be submitted and put in file at the Ministry of Local Government. Yeah. So I believe that the village council will have to prepare, and I am prepared to work to get this mechanism, the method work out smoothly for Ladyville, so that we can start to collect this new revenue stream. Here in Ladyville, we have at least 200 businesses. Yep. Ladyville spans from Calover Bridge going north to Boom Junction. Yep. And Gavin, just the irony about it, we have two auto rental, one just like a quarter mile from Calover Bridge going north, paying trade license fees to Belize City. And as you cross the bridge, Calover Bridge, the same quarter mile, you have another auto rental operating that does not pay trade license fees, none at all. True. So I believe some of the business persons probably will be glad that some businesses will start to pay some kind of expense that they're not paying and that they're competing for the same market share, no?
And Bernardo, I think you're very well aware that some businesses have chosen to operate in your village because of this particular loophole. But I wanted to put it into perspective for a moment. I think, Selene, you mentioned over $150,000 in terms of looking at street repair. How were you raising the money to be able to do the upkeep that you were doing before the idea of the trade license reform?
Marlene, we are heavily dependent on property tax, and that's one of the main income generators for Kickover. So that's the main revenue collector right now, and that's how we fix a lot of our streets. But under my leadership, what we've done is that there were a couple people who did huge dredging projects, and they had royalties that they owed to the village council. Because when you get a dredging permit, there's a clause in there that says you're supposed to give a royalty back to the village council. What we did is we went out there and we spoke to those people and we asked them if they were able to assist us. And we were very fortunate that a lot of those people had heavy equipment. So we used the heavy equipment free of cost, and we worked out our street repair. So that really was what we used so far. And since the streets are really bad right now, we're hoping that we're able to get some more heavy equipment on the island. But that really is how we depend on it. Property tax is the main one.
Yeah, so some innovation there. And for you, Bernardo?
Marlene, all we can do, because the only revenue we get in Ladyville is the liquor license fees, which range between $20,000 to $25,000 per year. So what I will do, I will basically lobby the community. We have at least 3 construction companies that basically I will lobby or lobby the area representative.
Yeah.
And that's the way how we would get some level of infrastructure work done in Ladyville, no? And it's basically little to nothing, because in Ladyville we have at least about 50 miles of earthen streets. So and if you double that, you will have, if you said each street have drainage on 2 sides, you will have at least close to 100 miles of drainage that basically goes unmaintained, unkept over the past so many years, no?
So you're saying,
because we're still sitting here with our jaw dropped from the $25,000.
$25,000 annually is what the village council roughly collects?
Yes, about 25,000 in Ladyville, because that is because we are a big community, and we have several restaurants, bars, shops, gas stations, and stuff that sell liquor. For argument's sake, Marlene, our monthly maintenance fee for just the public areas, which is cemetery, the parks, the playground, the sporting complex, we have at least about 5-6 parks in Ladyville, 2 football fields, and a cemetery, and the fee is like $3,500 per month. So what we will do to try to balance that, which I come out to about 40,000. So what I will do, I will lobby the community, lobby the representative, and whenever someone dies in the community and asks for a burial space at Burn Ground, we'll ask for $100 fee. So that will go towards cleaning and maintaining of the cemetery.
Yeah, quite a bit of innovation that's had to be employed to make up. I don't know if you can make it up, but to be able to deliver basic services. What about you in St. Pite, Chairman?
Well, like Mr. Bennett mentioned, your liquor license fees varies, because like in St. Pite, we would receive to the tune of almost $35,000 to $40,000 a year. That is, we have more hotels, resorts to that extent, no? And of course, when collecting these liquor license fees, you have different classifications and types. So the more bars within a hotel, you would pay for a hotel 2, which would be $2,500 instead of $1,500. But our expenses are very crucial as well. St. Mite is a developed community, and of course, we always have to try and make sure that we are up to standard with our sister community, which is Placencia. And that in itself takes a lot of cleaning within the community. That is the trimming and the cutting of the roadside edges, the daily cleanup of the roadside edges, the cleaning of the beach campaign project, which we implemented starting June of this year, started with the high school students, and now at this point in time, we have 4 full-time gentlemen on the beach having it clean and more eco-friendly for not only ourselves, but our visitors, that is locally, internationally, and regionally. Mr. Bennett talked about the upkeep of the cemetery, the public areas, which include the multipurpose grounds. You're talking about the basketball court, the football field, no? And of course, these monies are not enough, but you have to be resourceful.
Yeah.
Go up there, try to lobby with the business people around you, try to see how they can assist the community. And these things takes time because you cannot just go to a businessman and tell him to jump.
Yes.
Of course, you have to be there on their backs, reminding them, and they would come out, of course, and give you that assistance. And at times, and this is no secret to no village council, you as the leader would be the ultimate one to go into your pocket just for consistency's sake, because of the mere fact that you do not want your community to think that the job is not being done.
Yeah.
I can tell you fairly that when we started our garbage collection, something that is pretty much new to CMX, because of the mere fact that garbage has or had been disposed at the back of the lagoon. And garbage is a big problem, and that is something that up to now we still cannot control, but we kind of man it out a little bit. From February up until liquor license was released, as a leader of the community, you would have either had to borrow the money to make payment or make payment from your pocket.
Wow.
Until that money is been released now. But it's a big task, but it's a task worth doing, and that is the main reason with this trade license, it would make a lot more things more feasible in terms of payments.
Let me ask, and whoever feels prepared to answer, go ahead. How many of you were reliant? Because there's the Ministry of Infrastructure that can assist with streets. There like youth and can help with things like football field. And then you have your area representatives, and in your case, Elaine, it'd be Ministry of Tourism. How much have you been reliant on these, on the upper level of government to be able to provide for these basic needs that you needed in your village?
Well, basically for me, Marlene, I basically the Ministry of Infrastructure helped a lot in Ladyville community.
Yeah.
Recently, of course, you know, they upgraded the highway to hot mix standard, and a portion of the Last Bank Road that passes through Ladyville, that entire road have been hot mix, and I've heard that they're planning to do some more streets inside the community. So I'm looking forward for that. Recently, they have cleared some drainage that is key outlet to drain the community to the sea and to the river.
Yeah.
So I must applaud them and thank them for that assistance. And also I'd like to thank the Ministry of Youth, who recently sent a small donation to purchasing of lights for the football field.
Nice.
Because our lighting facilities are at like 25 years old, and that definitely need to change every so often about where the fixture will go out, no?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot to do, and we welcome this revenue.
And I asked that question for the simple fact that, is it that you feel they can be spending resources on other areas if you can maintain your own village?
Well, with respect to that, no, I must say this first, though, before I go to that point.
Yes.
I must give kudos to the collaborative efforts of the area representative, our area representative in particular, because I'm sure Selene's and Mr. Bennett one is different. Through the Ministry of Rural Development and also the Ministry of Infrastructural Development and Housing, notwithstanding that we have over 20 communities within Stann Creek West, there is a cycle that plays out. And at this point in time, I must say that every community have received their cycle of the Ministry of Infrastructural Development coming into their community. However, fixing up a road does not mean that it will not deteriorate or needs to be fixed within the year span. So by lobbying with these guys within the different ministerial posts, they try to make available for their different infrastructural work through central government come to the community to assist. However, as you had mentioned, if this trade licensing is in place, then that simply makes ourselves not to be self-dependent on self-government, and they can focus on like smaller communities that may need that assistance with respect to them, giving them like road infrastructure, trimming of ball courts and football field. I could give you an example. The community of Georgetown does not make quarter of what CMite makes in liquor license fees. So that simply means instead of government having a lot more focus on CMite is a little bit self-sufficient, so that focus can go to another community.
So good. So good to hear that community. It's so good to hear that community-minded approach, where you won't need, another community would be able to benefit. But let's take a look at this from the flip side, gentleman and lady. What has been the consultation from businesses? I mean, what would be? Have you had conversations, initial conversations as yet? I know this is a reform that is proposed, and there's a process that has to be executed, but what are your thoughts at this point in engaging the businesses in your individual villages?
So far, the few owners of businesses I spoke to immediately from Census News was made public. They are very much in support of paying some type of taxes to the community, because they basically see this have been something that have been talked about for years in Ladyville. Residents have keep on asking, Chairman, how come these villages are not paying any type of taxes to the council so that the village can receive some kind of help? So it's just a matter of how much they will pay and what will be the mechanism, and I believe that the business owners will come through to pay their trade license to the village council now.
Marlene, here on Peacocker, the emotions are mixed. You have some people who are for it because then we will be able to control the amount of shops, or we'll be able to control the amount of different businesses. Like you rightly pointed out, there are some business owners who purposely choose to come put a business out in a village because they avoid trade license. So that will no longer be the case. Some people are a little bit hesitant and reserved because they're saying this is just another operational expense. But I believe once the right mechanism is put into place, it should be no problem, with them once they feel they're being charged fairly.
Marlene, I just want to put this in as well. The flip side of this too, it will give villages some type of autonomy and stuff in respect to somewhat of a zoning issue. For instance, maybe if a community part of Ladyville, for instance, because they will make up of like several different communities.
Yes.
Let's say somebody want to open a nightclub, a bar or something in the middle of a community, like, we can basically recommend to reject that trade license, and once you don't have a trade license, you can't open.
You cannot operate.
So this is one good thing that will come out of this as well.
Absolutely. Now, the formula is going to be so important as well, and the current structures for a trade license board to review applications. We know in the past the chamber or the private sector has been working very closely. I can speak for Belize City, for example, in trying to find the right formula. There was at one point the system used with looking at rental value, the space that you occupy. And it's very clear that that wasn't something that could work across the board. The easiest example people usually use is an attorney may need one small space, but they'll earn far more than a larger shop in some instances. Has the conversation gotten that far in looking at what formula may be applied?
Well, so far, Marlene, what I've heard, I spoke to a senior valuation officer at the Belize City Council. As a matter of fact, I spent at least 7 years working at the council, so I have an idea of how evaluation and stuff and trade license are permitted. Basically, it's a rental value, and then That is, if you are renting a space,
Yes.
and if you're not renting a space, they will go by square footage, and that will also depending on the area and the location of your business in the city. So, but what I'm heard, they try to standardize the trade license, something similar to your vehicle. If your vehicle weigh 3,000 plus pounds, between 3,000 and 4,000, you pay $350 a year. If it weigh less than 3,000, you pay $150. So it will be based on size, basically, no?
That's the same thing I heard, that it will be based on size, and they were still trying to work out an exact formula because they wanted to be fair with the smaller mom and pop businesses.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I was wondering about, and it seems odd that we've gotten this far in the conversation without mentioning it, but that's the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm just wondering, based on the traditional or the existing, I should say, difficulties that a lot of the small municipalities have faced with collecting revenue, that of course created a whole different a whole new dimension to an already existing problem. So I'm wondering how the municipalities have been dealing with it in light of those economic circumstances, and B, what's your feeling about, you know, this proposed new taxing regime, going into it knowing that, you know, a lot of your residents may have already been feeling economic hurt. Perhaps, Selene, you could take that one, considering the amount of, or the hit that the tourism industry took.
Gavin, that's why in the opening address I said this trade license can be a pro and a con, no? And I believe some people are looking forward to it, but some people are very hesitant. Reason being is that a lot of business have not been operations. For example, nightclubs have not been in operations for 2 years due to the current SI. So, you know, having them have to pay a trade license now, they're like, but we have not been in operation, and if we want to operate, do we have to pay it? And I'm telling them, well, let us wait a while, let us see what the formula is, what they will charge. When I consulted a local government, they said they were still working on it. So I guess once the formula is revealed and people feel as though they are being charged fairly, then it will not be a problem. But a lot of the smaller business are really worried about what the fee is and how the calculation will be done. So we have to wait and see how that will play out.
And what about Insane Bite? What have the past 2 years been like for the council?
In reference to the pandemic?
Yes.
Well, I must say in its first instance, we did really felt the whip of the pandemic. No? At this point in time, I think we're feeling the tail end, of course. With the opening of the country, we must say that we're pleased. I am personally able to see our residents starting to get some work again. However, we try to bring comfort into the houses of our residents now, with not a lot, of course, but try to make sure that they're comforted and know that we're by their side. I must say, though, as it relates to our businesses within our community, we are tailed in from the north and the south by huge and large businesses. If we look at our revenues after calculation as it relates to liquor license, it is a minor 5,000 to 6,000 that has been collected from within our locals in itself. It is primarily those highfalutin businesses that are to the north and south of us, no? These resorts, hotels, and all these different types of things. I would think these businesses are in a position to pay these trade licenses. As it relates to our locality, of course, it all has to do with what Selene said, the mechanism that will be put in place, the formula that will be put in place. I would hope that it would be that of liquor license, whereby it can be placed in classification and different types. And like Mr. Bennett said, it's all depending on the size of your business. You know, one would say when you pay water, there is a flat rate, right? So like for the locals, you could put a flat rate for them, because as you would know, they would not be generating much funds like these other larger businesses like the supermarkets or the different stores, no?
Yeah. So let me, when you hear the talk of the reform and you take stock of the number of businesses that you have and the potential that you may collect in trade license, what's the thinking in being able to offer improvements to villagers? So let's start with you, Bernardo, because you said that it's something that your villagers have been asking about for a long time. What do you envision with this reform, whatever formula is agreed upon, that you would be able to offer, the village council would be able to offer to residents?
Well, first thing that comes to mind, Marlene, is jobs. That could be based on the amount of revenue collected, could be yearly around the year jobs, daily jobs, weekly jobs. It could be monthly jobs. You never run short of needing jobs for your community. And secondly, in return of these jobs, your community will in turn be kept clean. It will improve the quality of life of the community. Like I said, it all depends on what amount of revenue we'll be collecting. And then once you can basically ascertain the amount of revenue we'll be collecting, then you can go and look on a budget and to see how you can invest these money in infrastructure development and in the human development of your community.
And for you, Seleni?
There's two important things there, Marlene. Of course, we'd have to, I think, maintaining our standard streets is costly, and one of the things that this present council have been talking about is having a kind of like our own works department for continuous street maintenance. So that's one thing we would want to do. And another that we've been constantly talking about is proper garbage pickup, because we don't have a garbage pickup system here, and we've had continuous problems with makeshift garbage dump along the way to the actual collecting station. So those are two of the ways we would probably think of, utilizing that money. Of course, that we will have to hire locals to do these jobs, so there will be some job creation in this.
And what about you, down in St. Bite?
Primarily, Ms. Marlene, what this will do is that it will concrete what we're actually doing within the community. That is, we will have enough fund to have more employment for our youths, our community members within our community. We will have full-time workers, that is, need not to worry about where the payment will be coming from, because then a budget will be drafted out. Although a budget has been drafted out, but the funding is not enough. So we need to be resourceful to find that. At this point in time, we have a private contractor that takes out our garbage. So this funding will allow us to not only purchase a compactor garbage truck, but to also pay our employees as they work on that truck. Two, it will allow us to do more community projects within the community, that is working with the school, the churches, and other social groups within the community. I can fairly tell you that after consultation with the administration of the primary school, they made mention to me that they would want a gate, or to not to have their schoolyard being fenced. And after looking at the cost of that fence, we're looking at almost $50,000 to $60,000. Well, I could tell you we don't even collect that for the year through liquor license. But if we have these different revenues coming in, then of course, where there is a will, there will be a way to start up getting those projects done. Our Christmas drive and toy drive will be more big, as we would be able to put more smiles on households' faces, primarily our children, when they receive those gifts and that joy at Christmas celebrations that we have to deal with, like the November 19th celebrations, you have the September celebrations, and all those different types of things. That is where this funding will be able to assist the community wholeheartedly and to be self-sufficient of its own. You know, they say money moves when you want to get something done. However, with funding and proper communication with your community members, everybody will be involved and more work will be done the way they ought to be done.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning and allowing us to see from your perspective what this proposed reform, how it would impact your communities. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you too.
Thank you too. Thank you for having us.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Belizean doctor practicing in Trinidad, Professor Shamir Kawich, coming up in just a few. Stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Foltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Foltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Foltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we're getting our second conversation started for this morning. And as we mentioned in the beginning of our show, we are, or I should say, when I say we, I mean Belizeans. Some of us are making some waves abroad, especially regionally. And as a Belizean doctor, headed the first robot-assisted laparoscopic surgery And we are speaking with the doctor himself, and we're joined via Zoom by Dr. Shamir Kawich, who is also a professor and lecturer of liver and pancreas surgery at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
We're doing great. And how are you doing there in Trinidad?
Fantastic.
Great. It's great to have you and to have you join us to talk about this. It's a significant step, given that in the region we're advancing in the in the medical field in all kinds of ways. Can you talk a little bit about what this type? Well, actually, before we get into what it might mean for the region, can you talk about what the type of surgery is when we're talking about laparoscopic surgery and robot assistance? What is that?
Well, to best explain that, we need to take a little trip back into the history books.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the 20th century, operations were done, but what happened was that the surgeons had to make very large cuts so that you can put in two hands that were able to manipulate tissues and cut and sew and do whatever was necessary. The problem was, while the surgeries were done successfully, that large incision into the patient's tummy or chest or wherever they were operating created a lot of pain, a lot of bleeding. It reduced the time for recovery, and it generally slowed the patients down from getting back to their normal activity. Then, in 1981, thereabout, laparoscopic surgery was described, and I actually have something here to show you. So remember, in the beginning of the 20th century, two hands needed to go in, so you needed to have a pretty large incision. What happened in the 1980s is that these types of instruments were created. This is a laparoscopic port, and this is a laparoscopic needle holder.
Yes.
And basically, what happens is that this now actually replaces my hand.
Yeah.
So you can see that instead of having a big incision to fit a hand, you have a very tiny incision to fit an instrument like this, which will do the same thing that your hand was doing at surgery. And what happens is that it goes in and out through a special port that stays in the patient's tummy, as you can see here. So these are actual laparoscopic instruments. Now, because this resulted in very small incisions, generally of the order of 5 millimeters, then you can imagine that these patients had a lot less pain, they had a lot less bleeding, a lot less complications from their wound. And what it meant for society is that they were able to bounce back pretty quickly and get back to the road to recovery. And so you have a more productive workforce and a more productive society. So you can see the benefits are widespread.
Yes.
Now, the problem here is that even though this was an advancement, what generally happens is that you operate with two hands, right? Now, when I have two instruments, an instrument in each hand, and I'm operating, I have no more ability to control anything. So for me to see inside, it requires a second individual, a person, a human, that will now hold a camera and show me what I want to see. So if I want to see something on the left-hand side, they will turn the camera to the left.
Yes.
But let's say, for example, that this person who's holding the camera suddenly takes an interest in something on the right and swings the camera over there while I'm operating over here, then the surgeon is blind. And this is one of the drawbacks with laparoscopy. Now, what the surgical robots were designed to do at the turn of the 21st century is to assist the surgeon. So these robots they don't work by themselves. They're not autonomous. They are under the strict control of the surgeon as a human.
Yeah.
And so they are designed to obey my every command.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are many different types of robots.
Obey as in what way? I mean, do you have it programmed to execute a particular function? How has it been designed?
No, it's not programmed to execute a function, because then it would be an autonomous robot doing things for itself. What it's designed to do is, if I am, let's say I have the robot holding a camera, and if I want to look to the left, and I turn my head to the left, the robot will do exactly what I want it to do.
Oh,
If I want to
wow.
look to the right, it will obey my every command. So it takes away that human element where I have to turn and say to the assistant, hey, show me on the left. The robot just does that autonomously. So it saves time. It shows me exactly what we want to see. So we're now in control of not only the operating instruments, but the visual instruments. And it actually holds the image very, very steady. Now, there are many different types of robots. This is a one-armed robot that operates a camera, as you can see here. But there are also robots that handle the instruments. So what we would do is...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to be absolutely sure. So what we are looking at right now, if you were to describe to us, the robot is what's coming, what we see on the screen right above your left arm.
Yes.
Okay.
So this entire thing, this entire arm that's draped over in plastic, that's coming over, you can see the patient's abdomen there, all exposed. And there's a large articulating arm that comes right across and blocks some surgeons in the background. And then you can see the operating surgeon handling the instruments. That entire arm that's draped over in plastic, that entire thing is the robot.
Okay. And so the robot essentially holds, because with laparoscopy, the camera view is important. I mean, that's how you're able to navigate inside of the body with such small tools. And the robot is essentially holding the camera that will allow you to be able to complete whatever surgery you're performing.
Correct. That is 100% correct.
So this is almost, because where we, and thankfully in Belize, there is laparoscopy. People can get laparoscopic surgery, which is a lot less invasive than, you know, cutting down the entire stomach. But there's also been a shift to looking at using things like ultrasound while you're doing it. Is this the upgraded version of ultrasound along with laparoscopy?
Oh, ultrasound is a different type of technology.
Okay.
But what happens with ultrasound is that there's a machine that generates ultrasound waves that go into body tissues. And depending on how quickly they bounce back, the receiver tells you how dense and the tissues are, what they contain, whether it's solid or fluid, and whether there is movement, depending on the type of ultrasound. And there is ultrasound for laparoscopy. So there are ultrasound probes that can fit down these small ports that can go into patients this way instead of having the large probes.
Okay.
Depending on the type of robot, you may have an ultrasound probe that is at the end of a robotic arm. There are robotic arms that hold cameras, that hold needle holders, that hold surgical instruments. And there are many different types of robots with 3, 4, even 5 arms. So it is technology that is very, very versatile, and admittedly is still in the evolution phase. This is reasonably early in terms of robotics in surgery.
Professor, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask about what the preparation was like for this particular surgery, knowing what exactly it was that needed to be accomplished, the preparation for using the technology, and ultimately, you know, the successful result. So what was this particular surgery like to prepare for and perform?
Well, so far we've done a few robotic operations here in Trinidad, and they've also done some in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, sorry. Mm-hmm. In Jamaica, they've removed a prostate in a patient with prostate cancer. We have done some gallbladder removals and removal of stones from within the liver. We've also done removal of or repair of hernias. So we've done quite a few. In terms of the other question you asked, in terms of preparation, now obviously this is new technology, and new technology can be used and misused. Therefore, it requires a significant amount of training. And this was what was interesting in this case, because this came about at the time of the global pandemic. And during the global pandemic, travel essentially grinded to a halt. Now, what this meant is that the experts overseas who knew about and were able to proctor people in the use of the robot weren't able to travel to us. And so we actually had quite an exhaustive training session through the use of online media with Microsoft Teams, with Zoom. And this was actually, as far as I understand it, a first of its kind, where a few surgeons were trained in this robotic surgery, and then were actually allowed to use it on real patients after an exhaustive training. We trained surgeons, we trained the hospital staff, we trained nurses, the biotechnologists. So it was quite an exhaustive thing before it was actually used on real patients.
Interesting. What, you know,
And
go ahead.
And this is interesting because we hope that this is something that we can now take across the rest of the Caribbean, not only in the larger, the more populous Caribbean countries, but even in less populous countries, and hopefully even Belize at some point can benefit from this type of virtual training and virtual proctorships.
Yeah. And that was going to be my question, because I think it's important to look at how achievements like these, successfully being able to complete the surgery using the robots, what it means moving forward, that it'll be a new era of medicine where you basically have a virtual assistant of sort while performing your surgery.
Well, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's where it's going. And this might be new to the region, but there are quite advanced systems that that operate every day within the developed world. You know, so robotics, while it might be new to the English-speaking Caribbean, is not something that is new globally. It is something that's there, something that's already established, something that's continuing to progress. So as a region, I mean, we are trying to keep up with the global trends in developments in surgery.
And let me just step back for a moment and tap into what it feels like. You know, when we got the news, I know, you know, it was all over Belizean media. We're very proud of Belizeans who have these great accomplishments and living and working abroad. What does that represent for you?
Well, it was, I'm happy to have been able to participate in this team.
Yeah.
You know, for Belize, you know, it's as a Belizean, you always want to be able to find a way to contribute to home. So this was, I was quite pleased to be able to be a part of the team that achieved this. What I would be even more pleased about is to see Belize follow suit and actually pick up the mantle and start to make progress in this way as well. That would be a fantastic thing to see.
Well, you can always come back here and start some procedures yourself sometime in the future, right?
Well, hopefully so.
But we do know, you know, I think speaking from the education standpoint, you are a professor and you've been training medical doctors. Let's talk about just how in the region, you know, I'm sure even within the education setting, it's moving with technology. So there's what you probably learned in medical school and the new skills that trained professionals must have now.
Yes. So if I mean, we do train a lot of people from the Caribbean, both in undergraduate medicine and in postgraduate surgery. Speaking specifically about postgraduate surgery, what we learned was completely different to what is there today.
Yeah.
We learned in the era of open surgery, where large incisions were made for hands to go in.
Yeah.
And a lot of us had to go overseas to get the experience to perform laparoscopic surgery. And laparoscopic surgery has, I mean, the Caribbean now has had a strong foothold in laparoscopic surgery. There have been quite a few people who have made very big strides to get it well accepted as a part of everyday surgical practice.
Yes.
And now this is the next step. So it is actually an honor to be able to teach young surgeons, upcoming surgeons, about these advances in surgical techniques so that they can take the baton and move forward to the next advancement.
And as we enter into at least this portion of the world in our region, as we enter into robotics, what's the cost associated here? Has that been why we've been kind of late in getting to this phase?
I think you are correct. We are a little bit late to get to this phase, correct. Because the developed world is at least, I mean, they've been practicing robotic surgery for at least 15 maybe or 20 years. So as you can see, we're a little behind. But it is multifactorial. There is the cost. I mean, these things are extremely expensive. There is the lack of trained personnel to use it. And there's a general reluctance of medical people, medical practitioners to accept change when change comes. You know, at some point, and this is not a Caribbean thing. This is global. We get
that's human nature.
It's human nature. You get complacent with what exists, and you become a little resistant to change. And this is one of the reasons that it is important to have new people, fresh blood come and be exposed to and be trained in advanced, new techniques so that they can take it forward to the next step.
Let me ask the question that I know people perhaps think of. When you talk of the use of technology or robots within a medical setting, as we see with technology advancements in all other sectors, the concern is, are you reducing the number of opportunities for human beings to be employed and to be able to fulfill these professional duties?
Actually, that's an interesting question. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of medical personnel may tend to resist this kind of thing. But your question was specific. Are we reducing human opportunities? And the answer is simply no. We may be reducing the opportunities for a specific kind of human interaction, but think about all the opportunities that are created for biotechnologists, for information technology people, for people who train in robotics, for design. I mean, this is opening many new doors and many new opportunities. You know, it would remind me of the turn of the 21st century when all the dot-com companies came on board and there was a rush to get these things. There's so many opportunities there that I don't think we have the capacity to understand them yet. And maybe we will look back in 30 years and 40 years and say, wow, look what came of this change.
This turning point. Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a great example. We probably wouldn't want to go back to the paper days, no matter if we're forced to at this point. But just on a personal note, I wanted to say, of course, we know your dad is a well-known physician here in Belize as well. Just what do you say to other medical professionals this morning about being able to equip themselves with training in the latest technology?
Well, I think that medical professionals should maintain an open mind. There are many different types of technologies there. And one of the drawbacks I've seen within the Caribbean, and this is in almost every English-speaking Caribbean country that we've been to, there is this mindset, oh, we can't do that because we don't have that type of equipment. We don't have that kind of training. That doesn't fit in our setting. And I think that is one of the main things that will hold us back. When we actually upfront say, no, we can't do it because we're a poor region, we don't have the training. And that mindset, I think, is very counterproductive. Keep an open mind. It is there and the possibilities are there. You can open it up and take advantage of them. That would be my message.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning to tell us just a bit about the backstory and, of course, to acknowledge the work that you have been doing. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with us this morning.
The pleasure has been mine.
All right. And we're going to go ahead now and take a break. And when we come back, Gavin?
We're going to be talking about some sweet treats.
I'm excited to jump over there and see what's happening.
Right? So if you have a sweet tooth and you want to learn about some DIY chocolate treats, you don't want to miss our last segment. So we will be right back after the break.
Don't tell the doctor that's what we're doing.
Right?
We'll be back in a few.
To decrease your risk of being bitten by infected mosquitoes, use proven personal protective methods too. Apply an effective mosquito repellent to exposed areas of skin according to manufacturer's instructions. Wear light-colored long pants and shirts while outdoors in the early morning and late afternoons. Further, protect vulnerable family members like pregnant women, children, the elderly, and persons who are unwell by using mosquito nets to sleep or rest, even during the day. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
My name is Dr. Gabriela Guerra. I am the wife of Dr. Kevin Rafael Guerra and sister-in-law of Dr. Kenneth Raul Guerra. Both of them passed due to COVID complications on December of 2020. My husband was the first one lose this battle on December 12th, and 18 hours later, my brother-in-law Kenneth passed away also. My husband and my brother-in-law, they was a troublemakers, double trouble. They had a lot of friends there and make a jokes and everything every time. They never take us seriously, nothing. They was very generous people, very compromised with their career. We share a lot of good times and memories that actually fill my heart, no? And I live from my memories and the time we share together. The worst thing about lose a loved one, no, due to the COVID, is your loved one be alone, admitted at a hospital, without you, without your cares. You can say bye, you can give the last kiss, you can give the last hug. And that's very painful. I think that's the worst thing. I miss the guy shared with me 12 years of my life, the best ones. I miss my son's father, the guy who play with my son every time and try to teach football techniques to my son. For the ones maybe out there say the COVID not real, okay? Or pain. And the pain for everyone who lose a loved one. It's real, okay? The struggle is real. If my husband or my brother-in-law, they maybe at that time could have the opportunity to get the vaccine, they will not have a problem to say, I will get it, okay? I will get my vaccine. So if you have this opportunity, take it. I hope my testimony helped to change something in your mind. I'll probably take the best decision the next time when the doctor asks to you if you want to take your vaccine. If you don't want to do it for yourself, try to do it for your family, okay? To be safe, for your country.
Cumpleaños feliz, te deseamos a ti.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. for CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
We're back.
Yep, and we're talking all about some sweet treats. And we've got some great stuff in front of us right now. But here to talk about all of this Halloween baked goods, we've got Tanya Cano Vernon, who is the owner and manager of the Sweet Indulgence. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Such a perfect name for right now. Let us indulge in some sweets. How are you, Tanya?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you back and to especially take a look at what you're offering for this Halloween.
Yes. Well, you know, we have to have some tricks and treats for this Halloween. It wouldn't be Halloween without us doing something nice.
So let's just back up for a minute. I was asking you before we started just how the pandemic has impacted you. You offer, it's a special store that offers primarily candy. And I know before the pandemic there was this boom of like a candy station set up at events, from weddings to parties and everything else.
Yes. Well, you know, since we have limited social gatherings and stuff, we've taken a little diversion, not much of a diversion, but now we are doing a lot of like balloon arrangements, gifts, edible arrangements and stuff like that. And for parties, you know, if you want to still have for just your immediate family, we do DIY kits. You could decorate your cookies, decorate your cupcakes. So we've taken that and we've done a Halloween theme with that.
Okay. And we have a sample right here. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to ask, you know, it must be it's always exciting to prepare for Halloween this time of year just because you know everybody's going to be expecting some sweet treats, right?
Yes, definitely. I personally love Halloween, so I know my kids miss the trick-or-treating, so, you know, this is a fun activity to do at home. We have different kits, which we'll talk about a little bit, that you could do at home. And if you're not into, you know, you don't want to be making stuff, do the work. We also have treats that are already ready. You can just order, pass by, and eat.
Tell me about this box that we have up here.
Okay, so that's a dessert box. That's a 12-piece box. It has donuts, cakesicles, cupcakes, and what am I missing? Cookies, decorated cookies. So it's 12 pieces, and you get a little bit of everything in that one.
Oh, wow. All right. Look at those spooky ghosts and bats and even spider webs. So we can get the prepared stuff. I know you have some sample cupcakes here.
So we have, this is our cupcake box. This brings 12 pieces, decorated cupcakes. You could also get 6. You could get a box of 6. I'm not sure if you could take a look at it.
Uh-oh, what happened to the witch? What'd you do to her?
Fell over. She took a nosedive into the cupcakes.
These are so great, and they're, first
and
of all...
it's edible. The toppers are edible. It's fondant pieces.
Let's get the switch.
That almost sounds like you're talking to someone. Let's get this switch.
Right?
Look at
and
that.
These are, so they're super colorful, super creative, and I'm sure they taste great.
Yeah. Oh, so you have fun doing these?
Oh, yes, we have tons of fun.
Oh, nice.
Just leave it.
Yeah.
So, and we also have our breakable monster, which is this one, which I know Marlene is looking forward to. So this is made with local chocolate. I'm gonna hold it up.
So we've seen this for Valentine's Day. This was a big trend maybe like a few years ago.
We could do it, yes, for any occasion. And if you notice, it's a heart, and we just adapted it to be for Halloween.
Okay.
So you could have fun, and the kids could have fun breaking it, and there's treats inside, hidden.
Yeah, are you ready?
And like I said, it's chocolate, so you could also eat the chocolate as well.
So basically, you get this in a box. Let me bring it down for you so you can see properly. There you go. All right, that's what it looks like. And I'm touching it because I'll be the one to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a shell. So you give this as a gift to one of the kids.
Yes.
And then they break it open and there's an extra treat in there.
Correct. We could also do it for adults if you want, you know, to propose. You're into Halloween and you want to propose, or for any other day. You know, we could, if you have a little or jewelry or whatever that you want, we could hide it underneath and then you have an excellent gift.
To surprise anyone. What do you think their surprise is in there, Gavin?
Well, I mean, like, I'm just expecting more chocolate. But
All right,
that's what I'm hoping for.
1, 2.
All right. Look at that.
Look at that. Oh, sweet tarts. I haven't seen these in a long time.
Yeah.
And I got some
Go
nerds,
ahead.
which I'm excited about. I haven't seen these in a while.
And these, my nieces would fight me for gummy worms.
So we do have a variety of treats inside, like you've seen in here. We have the gummies and the chocolates. We have gumballs and so on. But like I said, we cater to our customers. So let's say, for example, your kid doesn't like chocolate or doesn't like gum. You let us know and we customize the treat to suit and you know, to suit your needs.
So what does something like this cost? Does it depend on what you stuff it with inside?
Well, our no, well, yes and no.
I mean, if it's an engagement ring, I'd expect they provide that, right?
So this monster goes for $50 and that includes the treat. So if we want to customize it, like I said, we would still put the value in, you know, it just would take out whatever you want to take out or add in whatever you want to add in.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So this is, the kids are going to love this.
And the shell is made of chocolate, right? So
And
it is
it's made
edible.
of chocolate.
So you
Yes,
can pick,
it is edible and it's local chocolate. I like to highlight that it's local chocolate because, well, you know, we try to promote local and help each other out.
Right.
All right.
So then we
that's
also, sorry.
one of the options that you can get in addition to cookies or Halloween cupcakes.
Correct. So, and if you want to do the DIY now, this is an example of the haunted house already assembled, but we have the haunted house kit, which is like this. So
and it comes with instructions.
It comes with instructions. Or if you don't want to follow instructions, you could always toss them aside.
Attach the first, well, you know, it's like when you get those furniture pieces that you have to put together,
You
right?
start reading and then you just throw it away. So
it's like, oh shucks, I skipped B.
So the kit brings the baked cookies, it brings an assortment of candies to decorate with, and it brings your icing. Okay. Oh, just one thing that I like to point out with the icing is because obviously we had to make it and package it.
Yeah.
Normally you would just rub it, like massage the bag so that it remixes, you know, because sometimes the water would separate.
Okay.
And then you have, like I said, your baked cookies and you have your base. So you assemble this. The assembly might require, you know, adult help, or if you have older kids in the family, to do the actual assembly, and you could decorate it however you want. That's why you get all the different icings and the different candies for it.
And this is such a fun green.
Yeah, so like, the colors like really jump out. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Even on the cupcakes over there, you can
Yes.
see.
Yes. So let me just see one
Sure.
more time. This is
Sure.
what you'll get to start off with.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's a whole assembly kit.
You get
and,
everything with it.
you know, it's just
the
all of
house
this is
is
just
nice and
reminding me of Hansel and Gretel, and then the Wicked Witch
Yes.
is coming to eat the kids. So you know,
This looks like the Wicked Witch house. I
Right?
mean, eyeballs on the roof.
exactly. It looks
Yes.
great. It looks like it's fun to eat. So
wow.
I'd probably
Right.
get trapped by the witch too.
So then yes, so it's a fun activity to do, you know, with the kids at home, and then you could go by picking the candy, eating them, and it's cookies, so you could also eat the house itself.
I am a very big fan of completely edible gifts, so
I know,
I
right?
think this is
Yes.
this is
I'm like, when are we moving to the sampling phase of this word?
And then so this haunted house kit is $75.
Okay.
If you want to do something a little smaller, we also have the cookie kit, which gives you 12 baked cookies, and as well you get your icing bags and you get your sprinkles.
So we start off with this. And this we're gonna do today. This we
This
can
is what
try
we're
to
gonna do, yes.
Under the instruction of Tanya, who is just the
Well, I
artist.
won't give much instruction because this is what is the beauty about it. You could
Yeah.
decorate it however you want. You could do, you know, whatever you want.
What
with
cookie
it.
set shape
I'm
do you
gonna
want?
start. This is like the Squid Game. I'm gonna go with the circle because that's easy. That seems like the easiest
This
one.
is the triangle if you really want to be easy. All right, I am gonna go with, this looks like the witch.
And
It's a bat.
Oh, it's a bat, okay.
great. And then
So this one's the witch face.
Oh, this is the witch
Yes.
face. Let me try a witch. Let's see.
Okay.
This is really adventurous of me.
And then here's a ghost,
Here's
I
a
think. So
ghost,
I'll do
yes.
okay, so we'll start with the
So
circle and the ghost.
Sure. Okay, so then let's get our icing.
So you were talking about massaging it. This is a
Yes.
great
Yeah.
chance for us to kind of demonstrate
So
that.
if you notice, like you see, it would have some separation. So you
Okay.
just have to like rub the bag,
Okay.
like give it a nice massage.
All right, we want to make sure
some
everything is showing on
purple.
camera here.
Okay. And then once you've massaged it and you're not seeing that water anymore, I'll get a scissors and just cut off the tip of the bag. You don't want to cut off too much because then you're gonna have an icing mess.
Parents, pay attention.
So we're just gonna take off a little piece here at the tip.
So you said that since the pandemic, you've been shifting not just for Halloween, but to a lot of DIY stuff.
Yes.
For people, you know, what do parents say? I mean, is it just that it's something to occupy the kids?
They like it, yes, they like it because it's something fun, and I mean it's also educational, and then you also get to see, you know, what your kids like. You know, we might have some future chefs or, you know, cake decorators
Or
so-
architects. Yeah.
Yeah, or architects.
Right.
Okay,
Alright.
so this one I'm gonna do this candy corn just to show to you guys.
I'm gonna get the ghost start. Okay, well, after you do that, I'm gonna start my ghost.
Yeah, the ghost is pretty easy. And you
What
can have
happened to
so
your
much
circle,
fun.
Mr. Squid Game?
You know, I'm still having ideas for the circle. So
So see, the icing is very soft, so it's manageable for kids. You could, if you want to do the different colors, this could be like a candy corn. You could do whatever you want with it. Let's be honest. You could decorate it however you want, and add sprinkles to it.
Let's see how easy this is. All right, there we go. It's coming out.
Why did I pick the most complicated shape?
Oh gosh. All right, there we go.
My hand is actually shaking.
You're shaking.
Okay, now it's
You're
coming
supposed to have fun, not get nervous. Don't worry. It's not the real Squid Game.
Okay, good. There's no
so-
violence coming after.
So my ghost is like, I'm gonna say he's in motion, which is why.
Oh my gosh, Kevin.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So there we go. So I'm just gonna make a really fat ghost.
All right, that's
and
no
then-
problem.
There we go.
Yeah, there needs to be art classes for this. This is more complicated. All right, so
All right,
we'll
so
leave
I'm
her
done with some
orange
white, and
here.
we're gonna get some black.
Yes.
To make
So then you
to
can
make-
put little eyes.
Yeah.
Or you could also, throw some sprinkles on it.
There we go.
So like on my candy corn.
So here's one.
You know, we guarantee that your kids are probably going to be a lot better at this than we are. But we're just showing you how even as adults we can have fun with this.
Right, exactly. And it's Halloween, right? So if it comes out scary looking, well, you say that's what you were going for.
Alright, there we go. Now it looks a little bit more like a. That looks like something.
I can't believe how much your hand's trembling.
My hand is shaking. It's like, oh wow.
All right.
But it's fun, right?
Yeah, that's what happens when you ask me to color within a line. I get nervous.
All right, so I just
All right.
decided that the circle is going to be a pumpkin.
Okay.
Because that seems like the easiest thing to
Gavin,
do. We're
take
gonna
on a
draw
challenge.
some-
Try your bat.
Let me show you something cool to do with the circle. Let me take.
Thank you.
All right.
I
starting
know you're
orange.
holding back. She's so creative. She's like, they're ruining it.
Unfortunately, it didn't bring a spatula, but let me.
You can use
All right,
the
let's
back of
come my
this if you
ghost.
want.
Yes.
Oh, see, and it settles
Should
with
read
time.
it
So
out.
it gets like smooth with
right.
time.
There we go. Look at that.
Can I get a little utensil here? A spoon, a fork, something? Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to.
So you could do an easy spider web with 2 colors. We're gonna go in circles here.
Ooh.
I think. Yeah.
I'm gonna use. Sorry guys, I didn't bring. But if you pull it.
Oh wow.
Oh, cool.
All right, so I'm gonna still take some credit for this.
Of course. So see, you have
Try again and have it live on TV.
You can hold it and you say, "This is what you just did."
Right. I said some credit. I got it started. All right. So I want to do something with this green.
I'm loving this witch.
I did a witch.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. I did it. It wasn't so awful after all. There you go. Nice neon colored witch.
There
I
we
love
go.
it.
Got some more stuff.
All right, and that is as simple as it gets. Now, as you said, you could also decorate it with.
Yes.
You also include in the kit things like sprinkles. So
Yes.
if you don't do a design.
So let's say, for example, with the triangle, my hand has icing now, but let's see.
We're very forgiving when it comes
Yeah.
to edible messes here.
So if you just want to say, oh well, make it festive. Add your little sprinkles. You could add your little worms.
With your,
Well, he.
with
Yeah.
your ghost. Yeah, like.
Well, I mean.
I don't know if that made it any better. Kevin? I don't think.
Well,
yeah. All right, so you showcase your ghost to everybody.
I was gonna say.
Give them your big reveal.
Marlene touched it, and now it looks like this.
Yeah,
so now
that's what happened. I touched it and I ruined the ghost.
See, yeah, there we go. It looks scary, right? There we go.
Your talent is scary.
Ooh, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, and I love these eyeballs. There we
All
go.
right. But yeah, this is super fun. I can imagine how great this would be to do with kids.
Right?
Yeah.
And don't worry, parents, they can eat their mess.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know how sticky your drawing will be afterwards. Oh, this is awesome. So as you said, these things sell out very quickly, and you're doing a limited order for right now. So how do people get in touch so they can place their order, whether for the cookies or the haunted house or anything
Okay,
else?
so our store is located at 114 North Front Street. But you could also WhatsApp or call at 670-2315. Or on social media, we are on Facebook, we're Sweet Indulgence Belize. So you could, text, you could call, you could visit us, you could inbox us. Anyway, we'll get your order.
All right. Well, Tanya, we have certainly had fun getting into the Halloween spirit here, and we appreciate you coming in and showing us all that you have to offer for this season.
Sure. Thanks again, and happy Halloween.
Ooh, I just need a witch hat now.
Right?
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.
So the doctor has given me 5 days off. How do I get paid from Social Security?
This is how Social Security works for sickness benefits. First, you must check that you qualify. You must be between the ages of 14 and 65. You must be employed when you got sick. You must be an insured contributor. Have made 50 paid contributions. Have made 5 paid contributions within 13 weeks immediately before getting sick. To ensure that your processing goes smoothly, be sure to complete and submit your claim form within 4 days of the first day of illness.
Thanks, I get it now.
Social Security, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun. With eCash, we can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
Wow. Oh my God, she drunk. No hurry, I got this. Goodness. Oh my gosh, it's the artist.
Being the hardest. The hardest. But you had way more than 2 drinks tonight, love, which is a legal limit to drive. What about you? Can you drive?
Well, I was drinking soft drink all night, so I can drive her home. Thanks, Bree. Of course, Tricia, you know I got you. You're my girl.
That's what I like to see. Friends don't let friends drive drunk, cause you can't replay in a real life. Stig says so. Can't replay in a real life.
Reduce your risk of viral illness like the flu or the coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue. Throw away, then wash hands immediately. Avoid close contact with anyone who has the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
And we're back. And if you're joining us now, we're just getting our show wrapped up. But before we do, we are talking about Trending Tuesdays again. And this is where I like to talk a little bit about some trending social media topics that people have been talking about, both in Belize and abroad. And there's a lot to speak about this morning. There's a lot that went on in the past week. Now, there has been a really crazy story that has been coming out of Jamaica. I don't know if you have been following regional news, but the saga of Kevin Smith, who is a very controversial pastor. Some say he's a cult leader of this church in Jamaica. And the story broke about a week ago that his church was actually performing human sacrifices. This was an extremely concerning thing. So what happened was the police discovered, and it was actually being filmed. And one of the members of the church reported to the police that at least 2 people were actually killed. And after that story broke, the police raided the establishment. That was another thing, because there was a very tense shootout. One of the parishioners was shot because the police actually did end up shooting somebody when they raided the church in order to arrest the pastor and some of the other senior church members who were carrying it. So that was the second stage. In the week that has ensued, several controversial videos from the church have been leaking all over social media. Some crazy stories about stuff from, the pastor insulting people, charging people late fees to enter the church. It's super crazy. And of course, yesterday, he was being transported from the town in the parish of St. Catherine. He was being transported to Kingston for his arraignment when the car that he was being transported in got into a car accident. And both him and a police officer lost their lives yesterday. So this has been a very twisted, crazy saga, as you can imagine, from last week. And even though it's not necessarily a funny story, we have been seeing that people have been making some jokes, making some memes about some of these extraordinary circumstances. And as you saw just now on the screen, there were some people were denying that he exists just because of the way it's making Jamaica look. So we can see this meme here from the Avatar, The Last Airbender. If you know that show, we're talking about there's no Kevin Smith in Jamaica. There's some other things saying that Kevin Smith 3 days after his relocation. Of course, some people were thinking that the death could be a setup. Of course, that's not the case, because he was officially pronounced dead yesterday. But of course, people have been trending all over topic just because of the crazy nature of this story. People are saying Jamaica is not a real place, and as you see here, somebody saying it's like Shonda Rhimes is writing this season. Now, that's of course an intense, crazy story that has been trending all over social media, especially on Twitter in the whole Caribbean. People from Bahamas, Trinidad, everybody's been looking at it. And so it's been really, this topic has been receiving a lot of attention. Now, switching gears just a little bit to some international news. We've got Steve Harvey on the screen, and Steve Harvey has been trending recently because of his fashion. Now, we know if you watch Family Feud, and over the years, Steve Harvey's famous for his suits and his ties, and he's been usually known for one significant look, but in the most recent couple of weeks, he has been making waves all over the internet because he's been making some really bold and daring fashion choices, some super interesting stuff. And you saw just now the green. We're seeing some 2 black looks right now, and not only is he like wearing the clothes, but you can also tell he's having a whole lot of fun. He's doing all these poses. Look at this, is a full blue leather suit, super bright colors. I think he looks good. And then there's another look going on. I was reading an interview this morning, and he was saying that even though he's known for his suits, when he was doing Celebrity Family Feud, they wanted him to dress a little bit more flashy. And so he took some of the ways that he dresses in his everyday, and then based on the feedback he's gotten, people are like, no, Steve, you need to dress like this all the time. And you know, second that, the man looks good. I'm liking this green outfit right here. And you know, if you know somebody who's well-dressed, who's a sharp dresser guy, you should send your pictures into us. We'll feature you on our Instagram page and our Facebook. You can call it the Steve Harvey Challenge if you want to. If you know anybody who looks like that, feel free to send in a picture. We'd love to feature them too. But I wanted to highlight this because, of course, over the past 2 or 3 weeks, Steve Harvey has definitely been trending for all of these creative fashion looks that he's had going on. And finally, we've had one topic which I'm sure all of you know about, especially if you were following all of the drama that happened on Facebook last week. Literally after I got finished talking about last week's Trending Tuesday, I left the studio, logged onto Facebook, and I saw all of the buzz about this alleged toilet paper that was being in tacos meat. So there was a whole lot of buzz about that story, which of course has now been debunked. We ran the story on our regular newscast, and the Ministry of Health also confirmed that no tacos vendor was selling toilet paper in his tacos, and nobody was shut down. But even though it was a false story, people ran with it, and they've created a whole bunch of memes, funny Facebook statuses. I was laughing at a lot of them, and so here's some of my favorite ones that we saw today. They're talking about, you know, if you ask for a lot of pepper and she gives you paper. Talking about the different types of tacos based on the brand of toilet paper and a different price. So, you know, that was a really, really funny thing, and I'm sure that, you know, it was a moment when I think when I got out of here, when we first heard the story, everybody was concerned and thinking about, oh my gosh, what? And then people were thinking, you know, what did I eat in my breakfast? Then, of course, when the story was debunked, then it was just became a matter for some jokes. And there we go. See, if we had given some decent pepper sauce, we wouldn't have noticed. That's a joke from that we're seeing. And I had a whole lot of fun with that. And I hope you did too. But that's just a few of the trending topics that were going on over the past week that I thought were interesting to talk about. Of course, if you wanted us to discuss a topic, or if you want to send in some memes, we'd love to see them. We'd love to share them. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't matter. So that was just this week's topic.
That's right. That was a whole new meaning to Taco Tuesday.
Right?
All right. And actually, it makes me in the mood for tacos right now too.
I know, right?
Yeah, don't mess with our staples. That clearly came out from that taco story.
I know somebody was saying that maybe it was like a planted story by the meat pie industry. Yeah,
that's a good one. A little bit of competition there. Right. All right, Gavin, but thank you so much for another Trending Tuesday and letting us know what people are buzzing about that Jamaica story. I don't think I've actually digested it.
Right? Yet. No, I mean, it's almost like Tiger King when you think about like all the twists and turns that this, like each day has been something. If you've been like especially like if you're on Twitter very actively, you know that there's like a whole lot of Jamaican Twitter. So I've been seeing all of the developments each day, and I've been seeing some of the videos too. So like I'm sure now that you guys know about it, you can Google it, Pastor Kevin Smith, and trust me, like I have a feeling that it's not just going to end here.
Well, you know, it may be a TV series that comes out later. Who knows? This is what will probably come, but it is tragic when you think of the loss of life.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, just absolutely strange. But that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.